So I was going to do a Loom and record how we're using forms in the Commerce program to connect with students. But my internet's too slow and it wouldn't work, so I fortunately have Camtasia, which is something you have to purchase, and has a lot more features than Loom. This is kind of what it looks like. So instead I use Camtasia. So if you go to Office, if you've used Forms, there'll already be a button for it. If you can't find it, you click All Apps and just search for Forms. You can either create a new form or a quiz. We've used it to track our contacts with students. You'll see we have a lot of responses already. Forms does a really good job of, if you create good questions, making the data really clean. You'll see how it puts stuff into charts. It tries to figure out what you're looking for and makes it easy to use. If you want to review individual results, this is how you do it. You can see it tells you how long it took somebody to complete it, their name, and then all the answers they have. You can also open an Excel. The one thing you have to keep in mind when you open an Excel is that this is only, the Excel file is only up to, so whatever we're 228 responses. It won't automatically update and have the 229th response. You'll have to download to Excel again. And so you see you have a number to identify, a start time, a completion time, an email address, which we'll go over a little bit later in settings, and then everybody's answers. If you choose to do text responses, it makes working in Excel a little bit tougher. So what I've been doing for our student response one is I just keep saving it with either the number of the entry or the date. And this way I can just go back and look at the forms that were submitted in that time period. If you click the ideas button, it sometimes offers some suggestions, so you'll see what it's telling you about your data. You can change the settings of a form. So the way that we had an email, if you click anyone can respond, it won't collect emails. You can limit it to one response per person. You can put a start and an end date. So if you want a time period that people are allowed to access the form, that's how you do it. If you had chose the first button, accept responses, when it's off, nobody could submit the form. Right. So when you want to share this again, so if you're sharing with students, you do people in my organization. If you want anyone to respond, you'd have to change that. This link is to create a copy. So if you want to create a very similar questionnaire, you would just duplicate the one you have, or you could share that with somebody else and they would have their own copy. They wouldn't be working on yours. This is a link to collaborate. Carefully don't share this with students. You can make them look pretty. And then before you send them out, you can preview them. So that's the form we did. Then we'll create a form now. Right, so form title. One thing that I've done with students is you can link to a video or a website in the description. So if I'm just going to find a Loom video because I couldn't show you how it worked. So in the description, I can paste the link, and then when students watch the video, they'd have to answer questions regarding that link. Sometimes it's not right away. You have to refresh. This time it happened right away that you could click the link. And then we're going to add a bunch of questions. So choice is really good because your data is so easy to work with. It's the one I really prefer to use. These are the automatic suggestions. You don't have to use them, but you can. If you want your question to be required, you need to select it. If you want more than one answer, you'd have to say multiple answers. You'll see I do a lot of choice questions because I find it's just so much easier to work with. I think I'll add another option. You can add as many as you want. Now another way to create a question, if it's similar, is just to copy or duplicate it. You'll see I have two of the same question. I just have to change the wording and the responses are going to be the same. One thing I find gets a little funky with forms is the scrolling back and forth and just seeing many of the questions at the same time. And we'll add the maybe button. So the ratings is just a different type of question. You'll see later on it didn't work out and I have to change this. But if you want to do, you can do 1 to 10 stars or numbers. It lets you pick whatever you want. And then I usually just put, 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, or vice versa. So you'll see in a couple of minutes we're going to do branching, which is just depending on the response for the previous question, they'll see different questions. So if they said that no, they're never going to use Loom, the next question they would see is this one. If you said you are going to use Loom, we don't want you to see the question. Why wouldn't you do it? So we'll get there in a couple of seconds. I think I might move things around a little bit. So in this example, question 8 would be the first question where if you said yes, you'd like to use Loom, this would be the next question that you would go to. Now we've used forms for a lot in Commerce. We've used them for simple things like filling out a fire drill questionnaire so that we know students filled it out, an exam policy where they had to agree to the terms. We've done surveys or questionnaires after evaluations so we can see how the students felt. And if you click preview, you can go and actually try the form before you send it. So you'll see right now, you can see all the questions I listed, and it doesn't matter what you select right now. We haven't set it up, so you're just going to see all the questions. So even if you say you want to use software, you're going to get the negative questions. This is what it would look like in mobile. So branching is pretty simple. We'll go to the last question, or the question that changes things, and you'll see this is where I have to change it from choice to, or sorry, from rating to choice, because it won't let you branch on a rating question. Sorry. I'm just going to copy the text, delete the question, and put a new one in. Now I have to put it back in the right order. I'm just going to move it up. So now back to where we click the little 3 dots, you add branching. Now you're going to tell them, so if somebody says yes, you want them to go to question 8. If somebody says no, you want them to go to question 6. You can't forget now that you need to say that, so question 7, that's going to be the last question for those people. So the people that said no, after 8, we want it to be done. If you don't, they're going to end up having to fill in all the questions. Okay, now we'll go back and preview, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You see, if I click yes, I get the positive questions. If I click no, I get the opposite. And when I submit and refresh, I'll be able to go and see my responses. And there you go. So you can see it's put all of the data into graphs, and that's it.